Let's start with a movie that most of you have probably seen, but apparently it was a 2010 remake. However, we're going to cover the original 1978 movie. Young, attractive writer Jennifer Hills, played by Camille Keaton, arrives at a country estate by the river to finish her novel. Instead of resting and concentrating on work, she finds only pain and humiliation at the hands of four brutal thugs who repeatedly rape her and destroy her book. The devastated artist decides to take cruel revenge on them. The film is an infamous classic of the exploitation film genre, which was booming in the 1970s. It was banned in the UK, Ireland, Norway, Iceland, Canada, and Australia because censors said it glorified violence against women, and leading American film critic Roger Ebert called it the worst film he had ever seen. Today, the ban remains only in Ireland, where they wanted to release it on DVD in 2010. Camille Keaton received an award for her performance at the Catalan International Film Festival in Spain the same year the film was shot. Director Zarchi wanted to depict the reality of rape as accurately as possible, and admitted that he deliberately shocked the audience, but without filming anything unrealistic or unreal. As he tested the power and effect of certain scenes on randomly selected viewers in a small screening room, during the second scene of rape on a stone in the forest, one of the men present exclaimed, "This is too much, I can't take this," and left the hall. After this reaction, Zarchi exclaimed, "Yes, the scene is working exactly as it should." A certain professor at a university in the USA once played this film in his class for girls to warn them sufficiently and vividly about the dangers of rape. His act caused a huge uproar, and the professor was dismissed from the university. The film spawned a 2010 remake, which has since spawned two sequels of its own: I Spit on Your Grave 2, 2013, and I Spit on Your Grave 3, Vengeance is Mine, 2015. A direct sequel, I Spit on Your Grave Deja Vu, was released in 2019 with Zarchi and Keaton both returning. The next film in my ranking was made 6 years earlier and also deals with rape. But this time, there were two women attacked and both were killed by the attackers. The film was written and directed by Wes Craven in his directorial debut. Two young country girls go to the city for a concert, but while looking for marijuana along the way, they come across a gang of criminals. They kidnap them and stab one of them in the forest and rape, cut and shoot the other. A little further on is the house where her parents live. When criminals pay them a random visit, the parents learn of their deed and take justice into their own hands. The film was banned in the United Kingdom, Norway, Germany, and Australia, but these bans are no longer in effect. The Last House on the Left also got a remake. It was created in 2009, and honestly, it's even a bit better than its predecessor. The film with a simple title is full of extreme violence, and this makes it one of the most banned films of the 21st century. Probably because of so many bans, the film became one of the most famous twisted horror films. We follow the story of Milos, a former porn star. Milos used to make a lot of money, but now that his career is over, he has financial problems. He also has a wife and a son, so when he gets an offer to make one more, the last film, for which he is supposed to get a lot of money, he agrees and signs the contract. At that moment, he has no idea what he will be participating in. He gets caught up in a vortex of incredibly twisted schemes filled with violence that just keeps getting worse. What he will have to participate in will change his whole life, not only for him, but also for his family. The film was supposed to be a critique of political correctness and censorship. It was banned in several countries, including Brazil, Spain, Norway, and Australia. Some explicit scenes were cut for the UK release. The British Board of Film Classification, the British equivalent of the well-known American MPAA, ordered the creators to cut 4 minutes and 11 seconds from the film in order to give it at least an 18 rating, such as Hostel or Saw 3. The film's reputation has endured to the present day, with many sources citing the film as the most disturbing film of all time. The Human Centipede 2, full sequence, is a 2011 psychological body horror film written, directed, and co-produced by Tom Six. Martin Lomax is a small and repulsive man who is unlikable to everyone at first glance. He lives in a small apartment with his obnoxious mother, who nags him endlessly. His father is in prison for sexually abusing him when he was young. He works as a night watchman in an underground garage. Martin keeps a centipede in a small aquarium, and at the same time admires the movie The Human Centipede. He decides to imitate and surpass the film. He gradually kidnaps a dozen people from garages, whom he brutally stuns with an iron crowbar, ties them up and transports them to an empty warehouse, his laboratory. He even pretends to be a film agent and manages to woo the film's unsuspecting co-star, Jenny. Now he will proceed to a difficult task, to connect the poor victims in one human chain. He follows the sketches he made while watching his film pattern endlessly. Film received substantial attention and controversy for its graphic depictions of violence, sexual violence, forced defecation, and overall body horror. It was subject to heavy censorship throughout the world, where it was sometimes edited to remove objectionable content or banned altogether. Next up is The Exorcist, American supernatural horror film directed by William Friedkin from a screenplay by William Peter Blatty, based on his 1971 novel. Reagan is the daughter of a famous and rich actress. Because the mother doesn't have time for her, she doesn't even notice that her daughter's behavior is slowly starting to change. She speaks obscenely, and her face contorts into a terrifying grimace. The mother takes the girl for a medical examination. After a series of very detailed examinations, doctors are unable to discover the cause of the problems. The girl's condition is getting worse, and now she is attacking her surroundings as well. Her voice changes, and she communicates with her surroundings with a demonic voice. One of the doctors comes up with a suggestion to turn to a church specialist, an exorcist. At first, the mother thinks it's stupid. When a girl turns into a demonic creature that kills her boyfriend, she has no choice but to turn to an exorcist. The filmmakers use the house at 3600 Prospect Street, Georgetown, in the U.S. capital Washington, D.C., to shoot most of the scenes. The house itself doesn't look creepy today, but that can't be said about the famous stairs from the movie. These lead from Prospect Street to M Street and look grim even in the daylight. Friedkin's perfectly staged psychological horror caused a worldwide scandal during its first release. Many people had to be treated after fainting or having hysterical fits while watching the film. The creators had to resist efforts for a total ban in Washington, Boston, and Hattiesburg, Mississippi. The film was not released in the UK until 1999, when an edited version was approved. "One of the best things that could happen is if the Pope denounces it," said Friedkin. The United States Conference of Catholic Bishops' Office for Film and Broadcastings rated the film a 4, suitable for adults only, with reservations, and gave it a generally negative review that faulted the film for suggesting exorcisms were common and possibly encouraging belief in the occult and Satanism. Upon release, the film received mixed critical reviews. Stanley Kaufman, in The New Republic, wrote, "This is the scariest film I've seen in years, the only scary film I've seen in years." 50 years later, this iconic film still holds the title of scariest film of all time. The last film on this list was banned in over 50 countries at the time of its release and is still banned in New Zealand today. In other countries, it was allowed only after significant modifications and censorship interventions. A group of 4 young reporters go to the jungles of South America to shoot unique footage with natives who have never met a white man. They manage to find a tribe of alleged cannibals, who, however, do not show too much interest in the white visitors. Young reporters therefore try to disturb them from their peaceful life, and that will be fatal for them. And what is so controversial about this film? The main reason is the fact that the killing of animals is real here. But the director also faced accusations of killing his actors because the scenes in the film seemed too realistic. He thus had to prove that all the actors were still alive even after the completion of the film. The movie is indeed very brutal, so if you're going to watch it, you've been warned. That would be all for today. What do you think of this list? Will you play any of the movies? Write me about it in the comments and don't forget to subscribe and like. Thanks and good night.